Hey, this is Brian with The Verge. We're here at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con talking to Jeff Wadlow, writer and director of Kick-Ass 2. Jeff, thanks for sitting down with us.
My pleasure, Brian. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. So, real quick, panel yesterday. Went over well?
Oh yeah, it could not have gone better. I mean, Kick-Ass is designed for Comic-Con. I mean, I don't think you could think of a film better suited for Comic-Con than Kick-Ass. I mean, I know there are superhero movies that are much bigger, but we're basically saying, you know, this movie is for you guys. This is a love letter to fans of superhero movies where we're going to say, we know the rules, you know the rules, now let's break them.
Right. Cool. Now, I'm going to talk about this in general. You've been blowing up lately. You know, the news about, Go Fast came up recently. You're signing to direct that for Sony. You're writing XForce, maybe directing. Are you going to be at the Fox panel later? Is there any news there?
I'm not going to be at the Fox panel. I'm all about Kick-Ass 2. But I am writing XForce to make it. That's what I do. That's what I did with Kick-Ass 2. I think the issue there more is, I mean, there's a big difference between development and actually making the movie. We all know that Fox has written scripts for Magneto and an X-Men First Class with Cyclops and Jean Grey. So I mean, the movie is far from greenlit. So right now I'm just sort of telling my story, and hopefully they'll be as excited about it as I am.
A lot of films that are coming out, they're not coming up within the system. They're basically getting picked up and distributed afterwards, but they're getting independent financing.
Yeah.
Do you find that provides you greater creative freedom, even if it's a big property like this?
I don't know. I think it's just an example of by hook or by crook, right?
Right.
Whatever it takes to get the movie made, that's what you got to do. And so I think that's why you're seeing more unconventional ways to get films made, is because people are just pushing and always looking for what it's going to take to get their movie into theaters.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you expect the experience with XForce is going to be slightly different since that is being developed, in-house?
Maybe, but I mean, so far, they've kind of let me do what I wanted to do. I told them this is the story I want to tell, and they got excited about it, and they said, go make it.
Cool. And what's it like working? I mean, pre-existing property, obviously, Kick-Ass. There's already a film people love. When you're coming into that as a director, you've written your, what the story you want to tell. As a director, there's certain things you want to bring stylistically, visually, or that make it like your film.
Yes and no. I mean, you have to be pretty sort of egotistical, I think, to think, I gotta come in and make it mine and put my mark on it. And that really wasn't my approach. My approach was, I'm a fan. I loved the first film. I loved it. I don't want to reboot it. I don't want to reimagine it. I don't want to re-it anything. It's just like, I just want to spend time with these characters and I want to see what happens next. And that's how I approached it. And things changed for a variety of reasons. One, we're telling a new story, and so things are going to change about the way you shoot it and the way you tell that story. Things also change because I'm just a different person than Matthew, and I love him and respect him, but making a movie is a very personal endeavor, and so even if I wanted to make it just the way Matthew would have made it, I'm still not Matthew. So it's always going to be different because I'm feeling it and experiencing it and having different ideas. It's a creative process. So I feel ownership of the movie in that sense because I was allowed to do that. Matthew said, you got to make your movie, go make it. So I think it is different, and I do feel like my fingerprints are all over it for that reason, but it wasn't because I came in and had a mandate to make it a Jeff Wadlow film.
Right. Now, one thing, Kick-Ass, there's this fine line that it modulates really carefully in terms of, pushing, violence and comedy, and it works great because it pulls both off simultaneously. How did you modulate that, just as a filmmaker?
It is a tonal tightrope act, but I had a great model to follow, which was the first film, and for me, it's just about being honest and pushing it, right? And so I think as long as you aren't being insincere about the humor or the consequences of the violence. That's what's interesting. Just a side note about the violence, people have talked about that a lot. In our film, yes, it's violent, but when violent things happen, you see that bad things happen, people get hurt.
Yeah, there's consequences.
This isn't like some bloodless assault rifle sequence where people are emptying magazines, and actually they never empty the magazine, they never run out of bullets in this situation, and nobody's getting hurt, and guys are just falling over. I mean, to me, that sends the wrong message because it's saying there's no real consequences, for intense situations like this. And we're actually creating scenes that are the opposite. It's if you try to go out and fight crime, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the underlying, theme of the entire first movie. It's like how that's trying to do that doesn't really work at first.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of it. So it's an odd comparison to put that together. So talking about, Matthew, you wrote the script, Matthew picked you. How heavily was he involved in the process? Either day to day, or is it just kind of go, I trust you, do your thing?
It was both, in that Matthew, as a filmmaker, understands what a filmmaker needs from his producer, and he did it perfectly. I could not have asked for a better partner in that, he never came to set. He said, make your movie. But at the same time, I probably talked to him on the phone every day for half an hour or an hour, all through prep and production. And we just get his advice, because he is a filmmaker and he understands the tight wire and the high wire act that we were trying to pull off with the tone, because he did it himself. So it was sort of a perfect mix of being there, but also letting me do my thing.
Awesome, cool. Jeff, thank you so much for spending the time with
It was
us.
my pleasure,
Looking
Brian.
excited for the movie.
Enjoy the rest of Comic-Con.
You as well.